Hey everybody, and welcome to another race review. I quite enjoy making these ones, and I quite enjoy the discussion that comes about after I make these ones. You can see me on the screen right now, and we're about to dissect the Dust Bowl crit racing that went underway yesterday. I would like to mention that this is just my point of view. So I did see from the last race review I did that there were some comments, and I mean, my opinion is not final. It is how I see the racing. Like, racing on CVRcade is so... Like, it has so much depth. My opinion may not always be the best, but I just want to talk about this sort of stuff because it's so rich, it's so flavorful, and racing on Cade is like no other platform out there. So we see the racing's underway. Victor is struggling to find Quentin on the second camera on the right. See, he does that. So straight out of the gate, we're doing the Dust Bowl crit. And it's with quantum shift on at all times. We did take some liberty with the events team at CVRcade to try and we tried Ben Shuilong's fantastic Alien C power-up configuration the other day, last Tuesday, and we quite enjoyed it. So we took the liberty of getting inspiration from it and using it in this race. So quantum shift is on at all times. You get one combat kit and you get power plant ever so often with 60-second delay, I think it is. It's on for 5 seconds, and every 60 seconds you get it back. But straight out of the gun, you can see Christian Weidman is attacked off the front. Quentin's in second wheel. He is racing in... Oh, actually, Christian's just crashed it. So the reason why Christian crashes here, by the way, because this becomes... this is like the tail of the race. So up here, that's Christian Weidman. He's gone off to a really, really quick start. And in a second, you'll see him turn inwards. And so... right before the turn, you can see Christian, he's doing 51 kilometers an hour. I made a comment in Tuesday's race review that Quentin got lucky. Quentin then commented afterwards saying he did the research, and this is a point where maybe Christian didn't do the research, maybe he didn't know, but he tried to get to the inside lane right here where the turn is already starting. And this line through the corner, you cannot turn inwards when you're hitting 40 or 51 kilometers an hour. You will slide outwards instead, and that's why Christian crashes at that turn right there. So he does come back, but that's why he crashes, and now he's going to have to burn a match to get back on. There's quite a lot of concentration. You can see Victor here using the instant replay to catch the crash of Christian Weidman off the front. But so far, all together on the crit course, you can see Homer is a bit off the back, now just a tiny bit off the back, Kayla. And that just comes down to sprinting out of the gate. So Timothy, Quentin, they have this thing where they really sprint out of the gate to try and make separation early on, then settle in. And I've been quoted on this saying, I don't really believe that's the best strategy, but slowly but surely, Quentin and Timothy, they always find themselves in the pointy end of the race, so maybe they're proving me wrong. And that's another aspect of these race reviews. As the esports element of CVRcade starts to shine through, those that really know what they're doing, they'll find consistency in results, and they'll keep getting up there, because there's only ever so often that having a good day and having the power will get you up there, but understanding the game and, doing the best, taking the best turns, using the power-ups at the right moments, understanding where the momentum is gained and where it's lost, that's going to make between the esport professionals in Cade and, just the enthusiasts that ever so often find themselves lucky in the front of the race. And I personally think I find myself more in the second category because I've really yet to win. I always find a way to mess it up. But in preparation and practice of this course, what we did, or what I saw a lot of people do, is they open it up. So throughout the day, I have CVRcade open, I'm on the Dust Bowl crit, I'm setting up the streams, and I saw Homer on there, I saw Nigel, I saw Quentin, I saw Timothy, I was on there, and we take the controller, or we take a keyboard, we put it at 367, or at least that's what I do, and then I see, if I just hold 367, do I ever have to brake? If I do the correct lane swaps, do I ever have to brake? And in this case, it was no. I never had to brake technically. That does come back to haunt me. But at this point in the race, you've got Rick Woods near the front, you got me, you got Ryan, you got Quentin. My heart rate strap had lost its battery, and that's my fault. So that's where you'll see 0. You look at Strava, it's just set at 82 and it doesn't move. So that is my fault. I am wearing the ticker fit. But I rode this race quite dumb. Like, looking back at it, thinking back at it, you've got the double bucks here, talking to Quentin. He's at 178 equalized heart rate. That maxes out at 200. he was sitting quite comfortably, and he was sitting in. He never really had to do much. Ooh, we had a crash. That was Rig Woods who crashed. Same thing as happened to Christian Whiteman happened to Rig Woods. So here on the double screen, this is our first time trying this one out. It can be quite confusing, I do agree, but we'll see. So you'll see Rig Woods, he'll turn inside. I think it's here, right here. So he's trying to turn in while going too quickly, which means he again slides out. Bit of mechanics of Cade, and something that may not be too used for everybody, because this course does crit, Dusk Bowl crit course, I think it's called, by Ben, is really, really technical. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed racing this one. I had a lot of fun racing it near the front of the action, because it was the right mix of having to use the raw power, but also strategy into every turn, into every corner. Now, for those that watch the stream, now this camera, this gameplay view is struggling. So Victor was saying it was lagging, but I see now what's happening is the ping on this computer is going through the roof. So I have to figure out why this is, because this, like, we test the streams so much. I mean, so much preparation, so much work goes into it, and right now you see two very distinctive cameras. So on the left is one observer of Cade, on the right is another, and the right one was set to Quinton, so we could do this double camera, and you'll see that the left one isn't quite up to speed. And so we are working on fixing everything, and we are making sure keeping it up to date. But that's what happened with the stream, so you understand from the streaming team's point of view what went on. But the Dust Bowl crit course, we were doing 7 laps, and 7 laps is a lot, actually. Like, it may only be 12.9 kilometers, but it happened to be quite high intensity throughout this race. So now we're on Quinton. I think we stay on Quinton for quite a while now, because his computer was the one that worked, or the one that was on him. So the situation now is that we have a natural selection of Quinton, Ryan, Jesper, Timothy, Rick. I'd like to understand why this happened, because when you look out of the gate, slowly but surely there was just this natural selection where it split off, and it could be due to raw power, it could be due to, you know, the biggest momentum change you'll have in Cade usually, or in any virtual platform, is from the start gun to when you get up to speed. That isn't always the case with Cade, because you will crash, like you see me do a few times in this race, like you see Timothy do in this race. But in the beginning is usually when you see the biggest change. Now, we're on the hill, and for those that didn't quite catch this, but Ryan and I were actually teammates in this race. So I made a decision to not race with the Cycling Hub boys, because I would really, really love to, but if that was the case, then it would be 3 versus 2 in this case, and further on it'd be a 3-man time trial when Ryan and Rick both accidentally crash. I'm interested to see how Ryan actually crashes, because I was in audio chat with him, and he went, "Oh no, bugger Jesper, I'm off, I'm tired, I crashed, that's not good." It wasn't very good. But you can see Quinton, especially with quantum shift on in this race, you get quite a lot of draft. You can get up to 70, 82%. I saw in Fantastic Alien Seed the other day, and you'll get similar here. So Quinton's on the front, just slowly but steady. I think this is Rig Woods as well we're on now, so we'll see. Rig Woods, 5:14. So Rick has a 4-second gap on the rest of us, but that's because he's popped comeback kit. And I think Ryan and I were talking about it at this current time, is that Rig Woods used his comeback kit when he crashed to get back on, rightfully so. I mean, you have to use it. Being in the draft and not being in the draft is night and day. So Rig Woods used his comeback kit, got back in, and then the momentum carried him over the top. And when you look at his power, it looks like he kept it on for quite a while. He's sitting around 367, 400. And any number that's above 367 essentially means he's burning matches. I had this discussion with Quinton the other day that on the Fantastic Dimension course that we were on last Tuesday, if he was in my position, he would have just time trial off the front and try to stick with it and not wait for the group behind. And now you can see Christian is using his comeback kit as well. And I do agree slightly with that choice and that decision, but that comes down to your physique and your rider ability, because I'm a sprinter. I'm not really a sprinter, but I have a sprinter mindset. See, Ryan just crashed there. And so does Timothy Tamont. So what we'll do is we will take the risks to not do any work. Like, we will, try and get through a corner that much easier. We'll try, save that bit of wattage, not taking a turn on the front, because we're not really keen to taking turns in the front. That's not really us. But what happens here is now Quinton, I think, has gone on to the attack on the front, and I have to react to this. Actually, no, it's not. Quinton is in third wheel. Rig Woods is up the road. So, actually, what's happening here? I don't think. No, I do remember. What I remember here, the leaderboard just lagged out for a second. This is Quinton off the front. Quinton is 5 seconds off the front. So, Quinton attacked on the previous hill because, quote unquote, he told me he was bored. If that's the case, you are a master of this game. But he was saying that he was sitting in, he was saving matches, but now he's at 195 equalized heart rate, so he's only got 5 more equalized beats to go until he's at his max, so he was definitely burning it. You can see mouth wide open. But what happened with Rig Woods crashing and Ryan crashing meant that it was a numbers game. It was Quinton Molyneux and Timothy Tamont versus me, 2 versus 1. And in that case, they're doing the right thing right now. They're using a satellite rider first. You can see Quinton is attacking off the front. He has to go for it. And then me on the left is I had to then chase back on to try and catch him. So it's tough. It's really, really tough to catch back on. But you see Quinton is just staying underneath. So this is what Quinton also told me. By the way, I asked Quinton to come on this podcast with me, or this chat with me. But he said he'd like to stay the underdog. He doesn't really want to indulge all the information he's gathered so far in racing CVRcade. And I respect that, but I will try and see if I can understand his decision making. But he said what he was going to do is get off the front and just stay below 367 equalized watts. Just make it hard enough that in order for me to catch up, I had to put in an effort, and for him just to relax, keep something in the reserve for when he attacks next time again. So at this point to Ryan, I was saying, Ryan, I think they're going to counterattack me over the top. I think Timothy is going to go onto the attack. So what I did instead is that I just put on the power and I anticipated the attack. And it does kind of happen. I mean, Quinton goes to 1100 watts. I had 700. But in being proactive, I hold it. But if you compare the two faces, mine on the left and Quinton's on the right, I'm suffering a lot more than Quinton is. I'm burning a lot more matches. And I was saying this to Ryan afterwards as well, is that I felt in this situation, oh, this is the crash coming up. This is the crash. This is the idiotic crash of me and Timothy. You saw that face? You saw Timothy? He knows. That's fun to see back. So what happens here, before I touch on the Ryan comment, what happens here is this is me taking a calculated risk. I'm like, right, I'm on Timothy's wheel, I can sit in, but I need to touch the brake, because that's what Quinton is doing here. He's taking an easier way through the corner to not crash. Meanwhile, I'm on Timothy. I'm taking that risk to stay in the draft, and we both crash together. At this point, this crash is I see this in my head as pretty much game over, because I have to now burn a comeback kit, because Timothy Tamont is not going to do any work on the front. He whether it was on purpose or not, made me crash by following his wheel. And now Timothy and Quinton are talking together. Quinton is now staying on it. You'll see Quinton's watts are now coming up. You see him there at 800 equalized watts. And now I'm forced to pop comeback kit. I'm using it. I think Timothy Tamont thinks he can come back without using it, but I do believe he uses it. And my face pretty much tells the entire story. I'm like, I made such a crucial mistake. Timothy Tamont also now pops his comeback kit. So I'm trying to stay around 200, 300 equalized watts when I can. I do feel the ups and downs in every ascent because I'm on the kicker. But getting back to Quinton, I may have panicked a tiny bit. I may have panicked in using my comeback kit. But again, that's the composure level of Cade. I mean, it's 4 kilometers to go. I thought Quinton was going to stick with it, and he might have sticked with it if I didn't use a comeback kit. But my brain worked the way it did. Now, I'm looking at the map, and I do not want to let Timothy Tamont back in. He gets back in, and I'm not quite sure what's going through my mind here, because what I should be doing is I should be resting. I should be marking moves. I shouldn't be laying down the pace in the front. But it's I'm not a racer. I'm a thinker. But being in this position when I have to both race and think, there seems to be a short circuit sometimes in my brain. Because now it hits me. Okay. Bring the pace down. So I'm at 200. Quinton's at 78. But even looking at this now, this may not have been the right move. Maybe the right move is just to continue on the pressure and keep the heart rates up, because I'm about 100 equalized watts over Quinton. I am riding this so poorly. Pause it right there. Look at this. I'm at 224 equalized watts. Quinton's at 95. he is saving so much energy. And if you compare the faces, that's a man in the hurt zone. That's a man who's got a lot to give. So I think I need to trust the draft more and be more composed, and also not panic that easily, because that does seem to happen a lot to me, where I hit a crash or I make a mistake and then I try to overcompensate for that mistake. Like again now, I'm on the front. I don't need to be on the front. And again, I'm anticipating an attack, so I'm attacking over the front, forcing a bit of hurt. But it's not really doing much, because as soon as it gets over the top, I relax. It comes back together. So every time I'm just burning matches. So instead of doing just the bare minimum, I'm actually overexpending then underexpending, overexpending, underexpending, and it's those small things. And again, I crash. Quentin, smile on his face. Watch this. 3 kilometers to go. Why do I have to do this? So I come into this. I change a lane just a second too late. If you look on the left hand side, you'll see my avatar. It's accustomed to me. We come into this, and this is where fatigue and poor decisions come in. Again, you cannot change lanes. So there's a very, very short moment where you can change lanes. This is it. From this point there to this point is the only flat bit of road. Then it starts turning, and this means that only between this point and this point can you actually do lane swaps. And so I try to swap lane, swap, and then I swapped there, I guess, right when my front wheel hits it. And I did not need to do that. I should be tethering the brake. I should be braking instead. And I'm such an idiot. I do make mistakes sometimes too, guys. And this race is pretty much a story of how not to race it. I'm also pretty sure that Timothy crashes in the exact same position. So Timothy on the right-hand side is about to crash in the exact same position that we did prior. So he's now also out of the race. And now I'm like, okay, I can catch Timothy. I can get over the top. I can get second place. 2.5 Ks to go. The cost and effect of this is now that Christian Weidman, Ryan Goldenberg, Rick Woods are slowly making their way back, because we're making so many mistakes in the front. Like, when you get into the pointy end, and we've raced for a good, 13 minutes here, and it's been really tough. It's been high-paced. I think I averaged 302 watts. But Quentin is just doing the right thing by not crashing. Simply not crashing is the difference between first and, I think I ended in 5th place in this race. So him just, touching the brake, going into the corner a bit more conservatively, that makes the difference. Now, again, face-by-face comparison, me on the left, Quentin on the right. I am working so hard to get back now. I can barely see out of my eyes, and I have to make up 11 seconds on Quentin while Timothy's on my wheel. 2 Ks to go. I'm not a time trialist, but in my head, I'm like, right, I got to give this something. So Quentin's already halfway through the corner. You can see suffering, hurting. I'm doing 400 equalized watts. He's doing 300, so I am making inwards. I am making my way back. I am doing more than Quentin, and it's 8 seconds, and he's just trying to match what I'm doing, and we still just keep at it. We got 2 laps to go, I think. This might actually be the last lap now. 9 seconds between us. I'm slowly riding Timothy off my wheel by just putting down the pressure, trying to just break his spirit as well. But I just keep going so hard, so hard. 9 seconds, 8 seconds. I do wonder if I could have came back and caught Quentin if I don't have another crash coming up very soon. But my review of this course is that it's very fun. Like, this is probably the best course on CVRcade after Fantastic Alien Sea. With or without Quantum Shift, I don't know. I'd love to hear your feedback on that. But this was so fun. There was so much strategy. There was so much risk-taking. And, like, the thing is, if none of us had crashed, it would have been a totally different race and different story. Now, I'm about to crash again, I think. I think I'm about to crash in this. I think I'm about to make the same mistake. Come out, come out, come out. I need to touch the brake. And that face says it all. I should not have crashed there. Game over for me. Now I have to try and catch Timothy. Christian Weidman comes by. Quinton Molyneux. All he's got to do now is drive it to the finish line. He's dug a bit. He's dug deep. He's definitely done an effort, but much less than probably the rest of us. I also would think his heart rate would be the lowest of the race. Like this is the ironic thing is, if you look at the stats, I don't quite have them, but I would assume that Quinton's overall watts and also overall heart rate would be up there as one of the lowest ones of the top 5, top 10, just because he was never forced into a panic situation. He could just ride his own race, and he made all the right decisions, and in the end, that's how you win. So, celebration from Quinton, well done. Now he's getting ready for the second race. Christian catches Timothy. Timothy didn't really realize where the finish is, so he got caught by Christian, and then on the audio widget, I'm saying to Ryan, look, Ryan, catch me. I'm just going to ride over the finish line. See if you can catch me. It's him and Rick. I'm like, come on, Ryan. So I'm antagonizing him. I'm like, come on, Ryan. Come on. 6 seconds. Sprint everything you've got. Catch me. Come on, come on, come on. You can see Ryan is giving it some. And in doing so, we're teammates. I was trying to get him to beat Rick. Rick is sprinting 1,000 equalized watts. Ryan comes through as well. He just doesn't catch me on the line. But that was the Dust Bowl crit race. I had so much fun on this course. So on Saturday, which is tomorrow, I'll be doing a physical replay of it with Timothy. And if anyone else wants to join me, feel free to leave a comment below, or in CVRcade Riders, let me know as well. But there's also a Velocity Vixen group ride on Saturday that I urge everybody to take part in. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I just want to start a debate because Cade racing is, like, this is the future. I'm having so much fun, and I hope you are too. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.